Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu Gwyn, and the Insider crew.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 106. We are back at PCA's National Headquarters. Around the table, I have Manny and our usual suspect, Damon Lowney, and Robert Forsyth is at the controls. But today is extra special because our guest is really someone that's making headlines. And I'm just going to read a few of the career highlights and why that's the case. 5-time karting champion, 2-time Skip Barber Series champion, first woman to win a professional race at Daytona International Speedway, first woman to win overall North American Porsche GT3 Cup race, and more and more and more. We're going to save the latter for a bit later. Welcome to the table, Ashley Frieberg, our 2023 Sprint Challenge National Champion.
Thank you.
I'm a little starstruck.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me, you guys.
So let's just jump right in it. We're going to focus this whole episode on you and maybe inspire people that are listening and how it got all started. And what I read was a lot of racers, we know they've got long-standing family history, but for you, it really didn't start that way.
Yeah, I know. I think maybe I got bumped in the head when I was a kid or something. I don't know. I wasn't right, but yeah, I started racing go-karts when I was 13, but yet before that I don't have any family history of it. I just heard the racetrack in the background at my house. I could hear the noises going, so I'd ask my dad, "Can you bring me to the track? Take me to the track." So I just always loved the sounds and the smells of it, the adrenaline. Although when I was young, I didn't really know women raced. I thought it was more like football, like girls just don't do it. But then I saw a lot more girls in the karting scene, and that's really what expanded my mind to, oh, I could be out there too. So I convinced my parents to put me in a go-kart, and I'll never forget my first lap. Like, my cheeks were hurting in my helmet. I was smiling so big. Like, I just loved it and kind of took it from there.
And how you ended up at the track, was it your brothers that were was it your family was like going with your brothers to the track? Was it like a Chuck E. Cheese type of go-karting place, or was it a serious go-kart place when they first started out?
Yeah, it was a serious go-karting sanctioned event. So yeah, that they were racing go-karts for a little bit before me. And then I was kind of like working in the timing stand, taking notes of everybody going by the checkered.
I could do that. I think
yeah,
I could
I'm like,
even
I
be
want to
better.
be out there. Yeah. So, I mean, I was always like playing sports with them. I was a tomboy when I was little, so it was kind of one of those things where if they're doing it,
are you the youngest in the family? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were probably just always trying to catch up to your older siblings.
Yeah.
And literally catching up in a go-kart.
Yeah.
And then finally, at some point, passing them.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. What do the brothers think now? Because I'm sure at some point early on you probably passed them as far as speed. Were they naturally as fast as you were, or is this something that only you picked up the gene for?
Answer this
being
carefully
fast?
because they may listen to this podcast.
No, they were both super quick, and that probably is what made me better because we were like a little sibling competitive rivalry. So no, they were both really, really good. I raced directly against my second brother, Brian, a lot. And yeah, I wanted to take it further, and to do that, you had to like really dive into the sponsorship side of it. And so that was kind of, for me, my deep passion. And they just, they're still in the automotive industry, but not in racing anymore.
So 13, 14, so this is middle school, early high school when you're getting into this. How did you balance staying focused with racing and school, and how did the family adjust to that? Because they didn't know how this worked, right? This was all new to them too.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting to balance it all, being that age and being a girl in it too. A lot of my girlfriends didn't really understand it. So I did kind of eventually start to, not purposely, but isolate myself because I was gone all the time. I wasn't at school, missing out on events like prom and football games and dances and stuff like that. But I don't know, I fell in love with it, and that was just my vibe, and I just kept following the path.
So I have to ask, which track could you hear from your house?
It was just a little circle track.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so just local dirt circle track, or
it was pavement, but yeah, it was just really cool, like wheel to wheel stuff, and they had racing every weekend, and
Nice.
Although
What part of
that's
the
not where I
country were
ended
you
up going.
from?
The Midwest. So I grew up in Chicago.
Chicago.
The Chicago area.
So now you're racing with your brothers. You're starting to beat them. Did you seriously think about this is going to be a career at the age 14, 15? Or you're just like, how much fun can I have with this until my parents say you can't do it anymore?
I mean, yeah, at that age, it was just another sport for me. But then while I was racing go-karts on TV, it was during a race weekend, I saw Danica Patrick leading the Indy 500.
Ah.
And that's what sparked
Oh, wow.
everything
Very
for
cool.
me. So, yeah, that's, to kind of add to having, more women in racing kind of a thing. It really does. For me, it's inspired me. So, if I can do that for the next generation too, like that would just totally fill my soul in so many ways. Because, yeah, obviously now I've been doing this for 18 years, fast forward. And it all started with being inspired by seeing other women out there and being successful at it.
Now, was it tough for you being one of the few women in karting initially for you?
I didn't really think about my gender.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up with two older brothers, I don't know. I was always roughhousing with them anyway, playing all kinds of sports. So I didn't really think about how I'm a girl a lot.
Good.
It was more brought up to me more often than I actually thought about
right.
it.
Right. You're just there want to put down a fast lap.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was a competitor for sure.
And then you're getting to the age of you're going to get your driver's license. Now, are your parents fearful because they know how fast you are and now they're going to put you behind the wheel of a real car?
I think it probably brought them some ease that I already had been racing for a while. And it was funny actually going through my driving school at 15, 16. They used me a lot for examples.
Really?
So, no, it actually, I went through that with pretty flying colors.
I can only
so.
imagine your driving instructor's face. So, have you driven? Have you spent some time behind the wheel? Sir,
Yeah.
I could probably put down a lap faster than you.
I just remember every time I had an instructor, because it was always a new person, they'd be like, wow, you're so smooth. And I think they were expecting me
Right.
to be on and off the pedals really.
Now, did you take a vehicle that was an automatic or manual? That would be cute.
It was automatic.
It was automatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Might as well give yourself the best chance, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's what all my kids are like. Find the smallest car that's an automatic. Let's borrow your grandfather's car and make sure we pass that test.
My first car wasn't manual, though. I wanted it to be.
What was it? What was it?
It was a Mazda Speed 3.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Little hatchback.
So I'm sure you saw my nice Mazda 3 with the Mazda Speed
just-
wheels
yeah.
on it out there, right?
You just made Damon very proud because his was parked outside.
Yeah.
So, at what point do you say this now turns into a full-time racing career?
Yeah, so in go-karts, I mean, obviously it was a serious passion for me. I loved it. And then I started to do pretty well, better than I thought I could, winning races and winning championships. And then, yeah, that next step up into cars was a big one. And it was not just, it was big financially, too. So it's like, okay, my parents told me, too, hey, you're going to have to figure out the business side of it. And so that's when I also went to Lynn St. James. She had a development program at the time. It was a multi-day program, really explaining all the aspects of what it took to be a professional race car driver. So it wasn't just the driving side. It was the business side, dealing with media, dealing with sponsors. How can you provide to your sponsors? And then the physical aspect of it, too. As you get into bigger and faster cars, you're an athlete. You have to train. And now it's, growing even more with the social media side of it. So, but yeah, at that age, I really wanted to find out what it took to go to that level and if that would fit me. And honestly, going through that program just fired me up. I love a challenge, and this is definitely new territory for me. My family doesn't fully understand it either. So I'm going to be kind of trudging my way forward and trial and error kind of a thing, but I wanted to see how far I could take it, because why not? I was definitely a dreamer. If you don't try, how do you know, if you can make it something or not?
So, what age are you when this happens? When you're really
I think
starting
I
to
was 16 at
So
the time.
16.
That's a lot to
That's
take in.
so much on your
17.
shoulders. A teenager.
Yeah.
People think about having. We all drive our cars right at the track, and we think we're a little bit better than the average person. And then there's some of our friends that want to kind of go up the ranks in racing. The talent for driving is a small component of the overall package of being a successful
If
racer.
you're not wealthy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So now,
Independently wealthy.
and like I said, with your family not really knowing the business, you're finding all this out on your own and running into Lynn St. James and the program. You have a couple people that you can look towards as a mentor, but that's even more challenging for you that you don't have all that sort of past experience to help you along.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just felt like if I don't try, then how would I know if I make it or not? So I might as well like see who I can connect myself with and help guide me, that people that have already been successful in the business, like get advice from them and see how far I can take it.
So how did you end up, 5-time karting champion, how do you get into like the Indy Lights and the open wheel? Like what was the transition there? How did you find a ride there?
Yeah, so I went to a few different driving schools after karting. I went to the Skip Barber Racing School, so that was the next step there, and raced in that series for a couple years. And
you won in 2010, right? That program.
Yeah.
She just wins wherever she goes.
Winning and winning.
That's crazy.
I'll admit, though, when I first got in that series, I almost felt like I hit a plateau, and I was kind of just top 5. And I'd see the other drivers come in and they'd boom right away just be winning races. And I'm like, like how do I break through that next glass ceiling? Mm-hmm. And it took a lot of work and it took a lot of just like faith in myself to just keep trying. And really it came down to having the right coaches that I meshed with well, because there's a lot of coaches out there and they're all great, but finding the one that I guess connects with you best, communication wise. Makes a big deal. So that's kind of, I think, what helped me break through that. And then I started to win a lot of races there. But then again, moving up from Skip Barber to Star Mazda was what it was called at the time. That was right below Indy Lights. It's not there anymore, but financially it was a big step. So then I was really diving into the sponsorship side and just started calling people, going to the track, and just started introducing myself to people.
So you're doing this all on your own. There's no agent that is going there seeking money on your behalf.
No. I did have a lot of people giving me good advice, though, but I had to go seek those people out and just show that I was eager to figure out how to be successful, and taking advice from everyone and taking bits and pieces, and that was one major thing that I kept hearing is just keep networking, keep talking to people, show that you're eager, and that's how I was able to find my sponsorship to go into Star Mazda.
Do you think being a woman would help you at this point, because it's a ton of guys trying to do this, but there's not many women, and I think we're all hoping to see like a woman in Formula One. You know, at least I hope I live long enough to see that, and I think it's going to happen. You keep on reading how this academy is bringing up faster and faster drivers, so it's only a matter of time before we see a woman in Formula One. And unlike at the NFL football, women can drive as fast as men. It's I don't think there's anything strength-wise that they can't do. Is that something that you saw as an asset, that you were unique in a field of a bunch of men, that maybe people would root for you, be more on your side and want to support you?
I certainly looked at it that way in my mind. It was definitely a challenge, though, at that time. Yes, women were being supported and definitely a lot more equalized at that time, but even back then, I mean, I say back then, it wasn't that long ago, but compared to now, I think it was still a bit more of a challenge because I was a risk, to a sponsor, because there weren't many women out there. We haven't really fully proved ourselves yet. There were some that were supportive, and then, the risk side of it was there too.
That's interesting to think that.
I remember when
Danica
broke through at Indy, they were talking about how much more fan base she brought to the, not just to Indianapolis, but to the whole series. That a lot of these little girls like you saw her and said, hey, if she can do it, I can. And suddenly the marketing people went nuts because they realized, wow. And just instead of appealing just to one half of the population, there's so much more of the population we could appeal now to. Mm-hmm. So I would think that they would embrace, at least like I said, now when I see Formula One, I see in the news there's always somebody, when there's a woman moving up, they really highlight it because I think people want to get it in at the base level.
So going out there getting sponsorship funds, not only for you, but I think back to karting, Indy Lights, or even your current program, there's a crew behind you. So that's kind of a weight on your shoulder. Not kind of, that is a weight on your shoulders because you're kind of the lead to be able for them to succeed and have a program to support you.
Yeah, it's as a driver with a team, you're kind of like the quarterback of the situation.
Yeah.
Like the way you show up and your energy when you show up dictates a lot, and how you show up, how prepared you are. So, because if you're working hard and they see that, then they're going to work hard for you too. So you really are like leading the charge there, and to have a team that really supports you as well. I know for me as a driver, I've noticed like it really makes such a big difference in the long run because they will go that extra mile. They'll find that last little millimeter that you need in the setup or whatever it is. Makes a big difference.
So who was crewing for you when you were karting? Was it your family or were there friends and family?
Yeah, it was like I worked on my own go-kart, and my brothers would help me a little bit, show me how to work on it, but it was pretty much myself. I liked working on it.
Did they give you all the secrets? Because like, we tell her everything.
The good thing is like go-karts don't take a lot of adjustments.
Yeah.
You just kind of have to drive it.
So
That probably helped you articulate though, because it's a truly team sport. So when a car's not doing something, you have to be able to articulate to the engineers and crew chief what it's not doing, and then relay information. Otherwise, if you just say it's not working, that doesn't mean anything to them. I guess the more you know about the car and understand how the car operates, the better you can tell them what you think the issue is and what should be done to the car.
Yeah.
I guess that's something that's just maybe it was a benefit that you had to work on your own stuff, that you would learn the stuff. Just like I know when I was amateur racing, you don't have a mechanic, so you learn to do it yourself. So when something does go wrong and you take it back to the mechanic, you can really articulate what happened when the thing broke or what the car wasn't doing that you need to make adjustments.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and jumping up from go-karts to cars, I mean, cars are significantly more complicated too. So one other thing that helped me with that when I first started was sitting down with my engineers and just saying, what is this? What is this? How does this work? And not being afraid to ask those questions. So as a woman too, it is definitely a weird thing to sit down and have that type of conversation. But if you don't ask, you don't know.
Sure.
So that's definitely helped me a lot too.
So before we get into our favorite marque, Porsche, of course, you've got a pretty impressive list of manufacturers that you've driven for. And I was curious, was it planned or it was opportunities that came around BMW, Lamborghini Super Trofeo, McLaren, any of us? As much as we love Porsche, if we were able to get a ride in any one of those marques, we would.
If I could fit in it and then I would drive it, yes.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit about your experience with those marques.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, everyone has been amazing to work with. And, yeah, a lot of it was just being in the right place at the right time because I do just want to drive. Like, I don't care what I'm driving. I just want to race. So, but, yeah, every opportunity I've had has been incredible. Working with BMW, I raced in IMSA with them. So, like Daytona 24 Hours, Sebring, and Petit Le Mans. So that was a really cool experience. And, yeah, Lamborghini is great, too. Like, loved racing the Super Trofeo, and they had me work in a bunch of schools and stuff. And then with Porsche too. I mean, I worked with them back in 2013. So definitely a brand that's close to my heart, and I'm happy to be back. So
this is gonna be a weird departure, but I'll bring it back. So winter sports, skiing down. You know what they ski down that? It's a long jump. You kind of go down and then you kind of lean forward.
It's called a long jump.
Is it a long jump?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Me in sports. Like I've always wondered, how do those people do that for the first time? Like get up there and go, I'm gonna slide down that thing and jump and not see where I land. So the question to you is, some of the big tracks that you just mentioned, how do you get out there and race for the first time?
that's a good question. I had a driver on my team this weekend. It was his very first race, and he was super nervous, and
I bet
it was man, just thinking back to that, because once you start racing, not that the nerves ever go away, you always have those nerves before you go out, but yeah, the first time out, I do remember it's like a nervousness that kind of takes over your whole body. But you just kind of have to have faith in yourself and give yourself some grace too. Like, you're not going to go out and set track record.
But the sponsors are watching. Of course you are.
Right. Yeah, like Roger Penske isn't like sitting in the stands, like ready to
No,
record.
for you, maybe he is. For us, he isn't, but maybe for you. So I guess nowadays you use, obviously, sim racing to learn the track.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe 10 years ago that wasn't as popular, but nowadays
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine everyone going to Sebring for the first time, and it's going to get a pretty good idea of what Sebring's like with the bumps and whatnot. May not be exactly like getting a real lap, but it's certainly going to let you know where to turn right and left.
Yeah, my sim has been a huge help for me training-wise, especially because I haven't had a lot of funding to go testing. A lot of my competitors have. So I have to show up at the track as if I've been testing, which...
Oh, there you are on the sim.
Oh, yeah, there I am on my sim.
This is perfect time to shout out for PCA Sim Racing, because you
Yes.
could be learning the track just like she is.
Yeah, so, yeah, the technology is amazing. It's super accurate now. Every little bump, every little change you can make to the car, and you can adjust the weather. They just added rain to iRacing. I haven't
great.
Oh, yeah, I
experienced
heard
that
about
yet.
that. Gran Turismo's had that for how many years? No, just
Yeah,
kidding.
I haven't experienced the rain part yet, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I think that'll be really helpful, but yeah, there is still a level of pressure though, because once you're at the track, there's a lot more external elements you're dealing with versus just sitting at home on a
Sure.
simulator. So it's kind of like a mindset thing when you get there to realize that, okay, I am a few steps behind my competitors. Like, just take this step by step and focus on my own program and not focus on what everyone else is doing has helped me a lot with attacking a track right off the bat.
How do you deal with the nerves? Do you train to just stay calm? I mean, that's like, to me, it would just, one, nerve-wracking, but then the adrenaline and what you're doing and the tracks and the people you're driving with, I don't think I could handle that pressure. I know I wouldn't be able to handle that pressure. How do you deal with that?
It's a lot of mind training.
Yeah.
You can train your brain to do a lot of stuff. So for me, I mean, I read a lot of like self-help books that kind of help with mindset, because once you're, at a high level, that really is what makes the difference between, being up front or being, towards the back. So for me, I think it's different for everybody, whatever works best for you. Like, some people have like a little trigger to kind of switch their brain into the zone, whether it's putting their helmet on, closing their visor. For me, it's putting on my gloves.
Oh, interesting.
Or I'll sit in the car. Like, there's a period of time where you're just kind of sitting in the car on the grid, waiting to roll out. I'll close my eyes and I'll start meditating, and I'll start breathing at, slow my breathing down, slow my heart rate down, and just focus on gratitude, just happy to be there. Like, because for me, I don't get a lot of opportunities behind the wheel, and when I do, I do have to really realize like what's happening right now in this moment, because I don't know if I'm going to have it, the next race or next year. So just living each day for me just helps elevate my performance too.
Now, what's it like? I use an example. When I was president of the club, I gave up club racing because I realized that people would want to talk to me 10 minutes before I'm supposed to get in the car. They would want to have a meeting or something, and I found myself suddenly going on the track with my mind thinking about the meeting we just had or a meeting I'm going to have right after.
Right.
And I thought, I'm going to wreck. I got to, before this all these meetings happened, I would be thinking an hour before about what I was going to be doing. And so with you, I guess it's even more so because you have marketing, sponsorship, and unlike me, racing wasn't my livelihood. So if I did lousy that day, nothing changed in my paycheck. Or with you, it's your performances. That's what sponsors are judging.
Great
you
job
by.
reminding her of all the pressures, man.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, ooh.
I did this PCA podcast and I can't race anymore.
This is her day off,
That
right?
was Shelby. She's a champion, so she knows. But do you have like some kind of policy where you try to keep the meetings away before you get in the car, or how do you? I always wonder because I see these pros and they're going from sponsorship, signing, and everything, and then next thing you know, they're in their car. I'm like, wow, this must be incredible to be able to, like you say, turn your brain off and go right into race mode.
Yeah. I mean, it's a skill you have to learn and that you have to practice over time, because once you put your helmet on, or you have to find some kind of trigger, whatever that is. Maybe it's buckling your seatbelt. Like, it has to be like a physical action to then click your brain into, I'm driving.
And you said that's the gloves, putting on the gloves.
For me, it is. Yeah. Yeah.
But do you
So-
tell your management, let's not have any meetings like an hour before the session, or
Honestly,
not, or just it
I
is
try
what it
to
is?
dip out
Yeah.
when I can, 30 minutes before a session, but sometimes you just can't
Really?
control it. I mean, this weekend, for example, I've had some, I'm still working on sponsorship to finish out my whole year. Like, I really only had Sebring funded. So even the night before qualifying, I was up until midnight on the phone. Working on my sponsorship. And same thing before my race, I'm on the phone, doing media interviews and stuff like that. You just have to realize once you're at that level that it is part of the program, and you have to, train your brain to figure out something to, once you're getting in the car, nothing, the world has to go quiet. It has to, for your safety reasons too. Yeah, because if your mind is thinking about something else, it only takes
Sure.
a tenth of a second for things to go really, really bad. So that's why for me, that meditation, that deep breathing, and gratitude for being in the car in that moment does bring me to be present. And I think that.
So when you're in the car, do you like having someone in the radio giving you a lot of info and data, or do you prefer it to be very minimal?
It depends on the situation. During testing, I like to communicate a lot with my team with what the car is doing, because the sessions that we get are so short, and it could go red, like something could happen. So really maximizing that time. As I'm driving, I like to talk with my team, but during a race, I like pretty minimal talking, unless it's like a spotter, like if I'm clear or not on the outside or inside. But yeah, I like a lot of communication when I'm testing, not so much when I'm driving.
Obviously, everyone now watches Drive to Survive on Netflix, and it always makes me laugh when you hear the engineer telling the driver, "It's time to push." And the driver's thinking, "What do you think I've been doing here this whole time?"
The data says you can go faster.
You get in the car and push.
So speaking of routines, are there other things that you do before a race to something you eat, something you don't eat, something you wear, something you think about?
Oh man, I
there
have
a
a
lot?
lot. There's probably so many that I don't even think of them all. But yeah, I get butterflies like throughout the whole race weekend until I'm like standing on the top of the podium. I am deep down, like there's a lot of nerves going on. So I mean, I'm eating super bland food, but I'm not eating like big meals. I'm eating small meals to keep my energy pretty stable, drinking a ton of water. This car is super, super hot. I think at COTA last year, the inside of the car was 140 degrees.
Wow.
Literally roasting myself. So hydration is key. And yeah, I try to talk with my engineers as much as possible about setup or race strategy. But yeah, a lot of the time now, like my schedule's pretty all over the place because I'm dealing with the sponsorship stuff and keeping myself in a car.
When you say 140, does that mean I thought I read somewhere maybe it's just a prototype? They have air conditioning now.
Wow, that's nice.
Like, not in a cup
Not
car,
my ride.
Because 140 is pretty hot.
It's yeah.
And the
But you do have a
windows
cool
are
suit.
the windows are fixed. So it's not like when I was racing, the windows went down, and at least you had air flowing through. But your windows are probably all it's all fixed, so you have.
Yeah.
Where does the air come from? It's a blower into your helmet, or?
We do. There is like one tube that blows air from the outside. So if it's hot out, I get
Just
hot air.
blowing hot air in.
Hot air.
But you probably have you close your visor down, or?
I leave my visor open.
Okay, that's good at least.
And then I do wear a cool shirt. So I've got an ice chest next to me pumping ice water through my shirt.
And how long does that stay cold?
Sometimes not the whole race.
That's what
And
I thought.
sometimes it's so hot you don't even feel the cool shirt at all.
Oh my.
But it was great actually in Sebring. It worked pretty well. So
Well, let's talk a little bit about your adjusting from platforms, from say a front engine BMW to a Lamborghini to a McLaren, and finally into a GT3 Cup car. How does your kart, from karting days to all this, how did you learn to adjust for that?
yeah, growing up, through racing, I tried to drive a lot of different cars and a lot of different driving styles when I had the opportunity, because it taught me to be adaptable to different vehicles. So like I went to stock car racing school, racing open wheel, racing prototypes. Anything someone was like, hey, do you want to drive this? Yes. Like, even if it was totally not in my realm,
There's a
I knew
school
it would
bus. You want to try it out?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I raced bicycles as well. It was called cyclocross.
Oh.
And it was like off-road, and you're riding through all kinds of stuff, but it taught me to like look for grip. So anything I could get my hands on that has wheels, I would do it, because it would teach me, different skills here and there that would help me adapt later on.
Do you have a preference of what platform, where the engine is, 2-wheel drive, front, rear, all-wheel drive? Well, if you could choose exactly your ideal car setup, what would it be?
Yeah, not to be biased, but definitely a Porsche is my vibe.
Yeah.
Because growing up through open wheel, the engine's in the back. So I felt like right away that fit my driving style really well, the rear engine. Yeah.
Perfect.
Before we get too far along in like real cars, let's take it back to karting. So if you had any piece of advice for our members or anyone who's listening who wants to, not under an official PCA event, but wants to go to a karting place and
he's
and
trying to
beat
get
people.
tips so he can pass me.
Yeah, well, of course we've got a karting champion here, so don't worry, I can already
Not
pass
self-serving
him.
at all. Manny just pushes me under the barriers. That's how he makes sure he takes me
Yeah,
out. So.
no, but if you had like 1 or 2 tips for indoor outdoor karting, in general tips that could be used across karts, what would they be?
Like driving wise?
Yeah, driving wise, line, is it better to be smooth? Do you ride the brake a little bit to keep the nose settled, on turn in? Anything karting wise that could help our members do better at the racetrack.
Our
Yeah. No, of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, being smooth in anything will definitely make you faster. Optimizing the line, I mean, exit speed is crucial, and that translates to anything you're racing. So trying not to like overcharge a corner and focusing more on staying more precise on the line and getting the exit coming out is really good. But also, like, if you're on track with someone who's fast, try to follow them and see what they're doing. That was a big thing for me, is instead of being frustrated I just got past, it's like, okay, how much can I learn from them while they're still close to me?
Yeah.
And then I would take that and go, okay, they're rolling more across the middle of the corner, or I just saw them turn way later than me, so they could square it off and get the exit, whatever it was. I tried to really learn from those who were quick.
Gotcha. So basically, the big tip is put the ego aside and just follow the person who's faster than you.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
learn from them.
Emotion over here, and focusing on the task, and what can I do to be better? Always asking that question.
Cool. Well, when you're the fastest person at the go-kart track, I'm just kidding.
I thought you were going to say lose weight, but
I think there are plenty of people I can follow
foods
at
is good.
the local track there.
I will admit there's been someone that was a little bit larger than I was, and I'm thinking, I can chase them down, and I didn't. I'm like, whoa, it's not always power to weight ratio. Not always.
Yeah.
So what about you talked about chasing someone faster when you're racing nowadays? How do you separate what your goal is through a line versus not being fixated what's on up front ahead of you?
Yeah, when you're driving, there's a lot of information coming at you, right?
Yeah.
So focusing on yourself first and what you're doing to the car. What are your inputs? How is it affecting the car? And did I just gain on that person in front of me, or did I lose? And either way, if you gained, okay, what did I just do? How did that work? Because that was good.
How did that happen?
Right.
Yeah.
Don't change that. That was great. But if you lose some time, okay, how did they do that? Where did they place their car? Were they still on you could see their brake lights when they go off. Were they hanging the brake, longer into the corner? Did they come off the brake sooner? Stuff like that. Just being as analytical as you can.
Which I guess, obviously, you don't only turn a fast lap, but the other part is racecraft. Because
Right.
not just turning the fastest lap, it's who's ever in front when the checker flag goes down, and not everyone has racecraft. They can turn a fast lap, but when it comes time to actually passing someone or setting up to pass someone. I guess obviously you're a champion, so you've excelled at this, at knowing when. I used to look for the people's weakness. I would always say that there's always one turn that someone's not good at, and I got to find that turn. But at your level, all these people are really good. So, and you're driving a spec car, so essentially these cars are supposed to be the same. It just amazes me that it almost seems like one mistake can cost you multiple positions, and you have to be perfect almost every corner.
Yeah. No, that's true. One tiny mistake, even if you lose a tenth, you lose them. So it's really the same thing, honestly, looking for that little weakness. But also, they're in front of you for a reason, right? So there's probably some things you could still learn and then also optimize on the weakness, because there's probably somewhere on the track that you're a little bit better. So the other thing, too, is like putting a little pressure, depending on how close you are, putting a little pressure on them, like pop out before a break zone. You're not going to pass them.
Sure.
But it's like a little tease, like maybe I will.
You're distracting
Yeah.
them. You're distracting them.
Right.
You think you will, right?
Yeah. And sometimes they end up making a mistake, and you can optimize on that. That
It
happened
is
a lot last year.
the same level like Formula One, where your team members are also listening to their radio, your competitors' radios, and can tell. Because I always think to myself, this guy's tires have to go away pretty soon. You know, he's driving too hard in the corners. It's going to overheat the tires. If I can just wait, and you can usually have telltale signs that they start braking earlier, or suddenly they're using more of the track on the track out, and you know that they're starting to understeer. So does the crew help out with that? Are they listening to the other radios, or is it just too much?
No, everyone's radios are all like coded, so
Okay.
you can't
And
just
locked
like
down.
tune into somebody. Otherwise, that would be super helpful.
Well, I know NASCAR, the fans can tune in and listen to all the crew
Yeah.
chiefs what they're all talking about. And,
That's true.
I think Formula One now, with how popular they've gotten, the broadcasts are all open to everyone, and it really changes the dynamic of the race if you know someone's struggling. Of course, sometimes they play mind games, and Hamilton was famous for saying something's wrong with the car, and they would tell the other teams would tell the drivers that Hamilton's having problems when he really wasn't. But
Oh man,
yeah, it's
that's pretty smart.
So you're talking about how to kind of peek out and play a few mind games, and unlike the movies, how do you keep yourself from considering like a hero move and do something that might be a bit risky, that might have a small percentage in working, but maybe it's more sensible to stay behind?
Yeah, that is another aspect of it. Figuring out a place to pass that is not necessarily low risk, like medium risk. And yeah, also, what is your budget? Can you,
Exactly.
if you end up touching, is that okay with you?
Yeah.
But also, when you go to make a pass, knowing that you can do it confidently. Because if you kind of peek your nose in there and then hesitate, that's when it goes really wrong. So you have to know that you
Because you could
can get
upset
all
yourself.
the way.
Right. Upset yourself.
Yeah.
And
Well, you either both take each other out or there's a penalty coming your way. Yeah. So you have to make sure, okay, I know I can get all the way alongside this person. Yeah. So kind of analyzing that as you go too.
So let's there's a couple questions here Manny put down with regards to your preference. Sprints or endurance racing?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good question because they're so different. I like both of them. They're definitely a different vibe, although now I feel like endurance racing is just a long sprint race because it's so competitive, it's so tight. I love sprint racing because you have to push right away. Like, you can't really strategize for the long run. You got to go right away fighting for the front. Endurance racing is really cool, too, because now you're sharing the car with multiple drivers, and that kind of forces you to change your driving style a little bit so that you can all enjoy the same setup and be fast with it. And then, yes, thinking longer term, if it's a 24-hour race, you don't want to be, on the verge of crashing in turn one on lap one, So you're really thinking longer term there. So I like them both. They're just totally different vibes.
Now, you've done the 24 Hours of Daytona. Did I read that right?
Yeah.
It amazes me people that drive at night in a race car. I mean, back when I was younger and I could see at night, I had confidence that someday I wanted to do that. Now there's no prayer at all that I would be able to do that. But still, it seems like what would amaze me is that lap times hardly would ever change from the daytime. And it seemed like with all those, what was it like the first time you did that at nighttime?
Oh my gosh, it was so cool. I didn't get in the car until 2 a.m. So
You started at night.
yes.
Wow.
Like the worst hours of the
Whoa.
night. Yeah. But actually, I loved it. Like, I was so excited to get in. I was 2 a.m. through like 6 a.m. So I saw the sunrise from the car. It was
So
so
that's
cool.
actually probably the worst when the sun is rising because it's, I would think it's like almost like dust, when your windshield is covered with oil
Oh,
and
yeah.
debris, and you,
Yeah.
at least nighttime it's all consistent, but
Yeah.
that transition is, I read that's like the scariest.
Yeah, I think the craziest part of that for me was getting in the car and just like looking around while they're still like fueling and stuff. I'm like, this car is beat up. Like, what happened?
Like, how's it still
What did you
running?
guys do? Yeah, I think that was kind of the wildest part, was getting in and the car was like tired.
Now, I guess you had a spotter to help you?
Yeah.
Because here you're
yeah.
running with, I don't know what class, I think you were running probably GT class, was it?
GTD, yeah.
GTD. So
Yeah.
you have these prototypes in the class, which are going much faster. So I guess you have a spotter telling you when a prototype's coming really fast behind you.
Yeah, you have spotters, and then the headlights are a slightly different color for the prototypes. Though at that time we also had GTLM, and they had the same color headlights, and they were a little bit faster, but it was hard to tell those cars between like who's your competitor and who's in the other class. So that was a challenge. But yes, having a spotter is key, for sure.
Yeah,
They're
it's-
working, I think, harder than the drivers are. Because there's only usually 1 or 2 spotters for 24 hours, and they're like, they have to be on it. The
I
whole
was going to say they can't lose you because then they got to find you back on the track and it's
Yeah.
dark and you're seeing nothing
Yeah.
but headlights. And even though the track is lit, it's still not easy to
Right,
spot the cars. Yeah,
right.
A job I couldn't do either, a spotter. I don't have the attention span to.
I don't know if I could either.
I would look over to another car and lose
That
you.
is one. That is one job I would not rely on Manny for. He definitely would get distracted. Okay, so night versus rain. What's harder?
What's harder? Rain.
Rain.
Night in
Yeah.
the rain.
Night. Oh yeah, night in the rain.
Night in the rain is, a combo to remember. Yeah, driving at night is really cool. It depends on what track you're at. Like, Daytona is really lit up, so it's kind of like daytime. Sebring's pretty dark, and once you're like going down to turn 7, that's where everyone's camping and partying. So there's like smoke from fire, like they're having campfire smoke coming
Oh,
across
yeah,
the
right,
track.
right.
You can smell like
You can smell the
barbecue.
barbecue.
Right.
I'm like,
Wow.
that
I never
smells
thought
good.
about that. I
Yeah.
guess you're right.
Yeah. So that was really cool. My first like super dark race, and then Road Atlanta was like really, really dark and
That was
high
on my
elevation.
list. I was like, Road Atlanta sounds like it would be really scary at night.
It was, yeah. Especially going up like through turn 3 into the S's, that little blind crest.
Really, that's dark.
Pitch black.
Wow.
And
exactly.
the speed difference between a GT and a prototype is massive, especially in high-speed corners. They have a lot more downforce. So the rate at which they would catch you, like, I wouldn't even see them on the straight, and they'd bomb through turn 1 and already be alongside me into the S's.
That's crazy.
So it was a little bit scary because I was in the BMW, which was pretty tall. All I could see is like the tippy top of their helmet alongside me. That's how I knew they were there. And I'm like flat out. The car is
Right.
sliding down the hill. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it scared me a couple times.
And are you supposed to stay online or go offline when a prototype?
Stay
comes?
online.
You stay
always.
online. Well,
Yeah.
At least that's better.
Yeah, always stay predictable.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Because bad enough that they're coming at you fast enough. Now you got to go into the marbles to let them pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I would have my whole car plastered with the rookie driver stickers in the back of my car because that's got to be scary as all heck.
Yeah.
So tell us what it's like being with Porsche.
Oh my gosh, it's such an amazing brand, and this year they're doing a lot for women in racing. They have a whole female development program, which I'm honored to say I'm a part of that, and yeah, they're really just putting a lot of support behind women in racing right now, which is really needed and cool to see, because I think if we're given the right opportunities and the right equipment and everything, that we can do well. So yeah, it's just a great brand, and like I said, it's always had a special place in my heart. I love driving Porsches. I mean, look at them. So
What's it like driving a cup car?
it's a blast. Last year I raced the 991, and this year I'm in the 992. So everything's just better and better. Every time they make a new car, technology is more advanced and the cars are faster, and I'm loving it. It's so fun.
Where do you see it? Because to the normal person, a 991 and 992 Cup isn't that different. But I'm sure they developed it quite a bit.
One's got the double wishbones, the 992 now.
Well, I mean, is it aero? Where was the
Yeah.
difference? And did you felt when you changed cars?
Definitely aero, better suspension, and bigger brakes. A little bit shorter wheelbase as well.
You're not running ABS, or you're running ABS?
Yes, we have ABS. I don't have traction control. So, but yeah, we have ABS. The ABS system is actually one of the things I'm trying to get used to in the new car because the brakes are so good and you just mash the brake and just let it kind of do what it wants to do.
Do you try and feel out threshold now, or
Right.
do you literally just boom on the brake as hard as possible and ABS works it all out?
You just hit it.
Wow.
You just hit it and it does what it's supposed to do. And that's where I'm struggling is I'm trying to like stay under the threshold and I'm just like, no, like trust the ABS. So it's an amazing car.
So this past weekend at Sebring, you finished second, was it? Mm-hmm. And then fourth? Did I get that right? But that's pretty amazing for a new platform getting into the 992. Now, with the Sprint Challenge, the difference between that and the Carrera Cup North America. Carrera Cup North America is running all 992 Cup. Mm-hmm. Is that a different model than the Cup that you drive?
No, it's exactly the same.
Same thing, okay.
So in the past they were running Michelin, so now we're all in Yokohamas,
Yokohama,
which
right,
is
yeah.
really cool because now I can kind of like see where I'd stack up in the Carrera Cup field, and then it's cool because you can also like compare data and stuff between the two series,
Okay.
which is pretty fun. So
But you still run on the track with 991s?
we do, yeah.
and-
There's only a couple out there.
Do the GT4 Club Sports run in there too?
They have their own
series?
yeah,
Okay.
their own class. So, yeah, it's cool. The GT4s are fast. I was watching them the other day. Like, oh my gosh, they're quick. They weren't that far off our lap times.
Wow.
Yeah, they looked like fun.
Driven one of those yet?
I haven't driven the race. I just drove a street version, and I was like, man, I should get one of these.
Nice.
If I only had
Agreed.
250 laying around. 250K.
Yeah, right.
So with your travel and such, do you have much time to street drive? And what do you drive? What's in the garage?
Oh man. Well, when I'm at home, I'm selling real estate. So I have a Audi A3.
In addition to your racing career, you're
Yeah.
also into real estate.
Yeah, I wear many hats.
Wow,
So,
that is impressive.
yeah. So I have a Audi A3. It's just a little diesel, a TDI. It's good gas mileage. It's nothing crazy.
Manual?
But it works. No, I was looking for a manual.
They're hard to find. That's why
They
I
are
asked.
hard to find. Yeah.
that would be way
but-
cool.
Yeah, it's a good car. Gets me around, and it's all about the gas mileage for me because I'm driving all over the place. So.
All right, so here's a couple more questions. I knew this hour would just go flying by, but we want to make sure we get all these in. What do you see for the future for you?
I would love to be back in IMSA full time and running up front with a really good competitive team. I also want to race the 24 Hours of Le Mans. I'd love to win that. That's a big dream of mine too. So right now, like I said, I'm still working on sponsorship to fill out the rest of my season this year because I would love to get back-to-back championships. That's kind of the ultimate goal right now. I'm focusing on the immediate future, but yeah, that's my long-term goal.
I think it was a photo from the Night of Champions in Germany. Was that where that was?
That was actually here.
Oh,
in
it was
the US.
here.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was Night of Champions too because I saw Wysock.
Yeah.
I know I saw Walker, but I thought I saw Wysock. I thought it was Night of Champions.
No, I couldn't make it to Night of Champions, unfortunately.
Oh,
I know.
you didn't miss
So now I have to
much.
win another
You
championship
just
so I
win
can
another
go.
one. So,
Yeah.
as Damon alluded to earlier, a lot of us kind of selfishly looks towards you and say, "What can you tell us to be better drivers?" He was talking about karting.
How can you make me faster?
Yeah, how could you make you talked about that glass ceiling, and Manny hit that ceiling way long ago. So what can you impart?
They never even saw the ceiling. They weren't even close to the ceiling.
I'm not even at the light switch.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the biggest thing is just always have a learning mindset. Trying not to get frustrated when you make mistakes or when you're not performing as well as you think you should, and looking at that more as a learning opportunity and how I can get better. Finding a coach or multiple coaches that fit your vibe. Because, without sitting down and, looking at exactly what you guys are doing on the track, it's hard to say, but that would be my biggest thing. That's what helped me, at least.
And platforms that you drive. So many people who want to do better, get the faster time at an autocross or a DE, so many of them kind of lean on I'll get new tires, I'll get new suspension, I'll get new whatever, I'll get a new car, right?
That works, right?
I mean, that can work.
Can work.
But
yeah.
I think what you're kind of, leaning into is work on yourself and get that down first.
Yeah, exactly. And I can tell you, a lot of my driving, I've not had, fresh brand new equipment. I'm usually going out on super, super old tires. And I'm okay with that because I can still learn and I can still make adjustments to the car, adjustments to myself. There's always an opportunity to learn no matter what equipment you have.
Now, everybody that she beat is listening saying, oh, my God, she beat me on old tires. That's the worst thing. Bad enough you got beat, but now you got beat by someone driving old tires.
I mean, sometimes that's like the best way to learn, though, because if you're always slapping new stuff on it, it masks everything else. So if you can learn in equipment that isn't like top, then that'll make you that much better.
That's Porsche's whole sales plan. Drivers don't get faster; they just buy newer cars.
Exactly.
And drivers that's me. She knows. People just show up with new turbos if they can't go any faster. It makes up for a lot of mistakes.
You talked about being inspirational to a lot of younger drivers. Have you also thought about maybe becoming and driving and instructing at different events and getting, new drivers and or young drivers to get to the level that they're looking for?
Yeah, I do a lot of coaching. I love sharing my passion and I love teaching driving. So I work a lot of schools and I also do private coaching.
Okay.
I've actually done a lot of work within the PCA doing some private coaching there too. So I love to take what I know and help other people and to see that moment when it clicks or when they break through the glass ceiling, the smile on the face for me definitely fills my soul.
I always tell people when they're telling me, all these mods are going to make on the car, and I always tell them, go to the track, get a private coach. It is going to do worlds better for you than getting the latest induction system or whatnot on your car.
Hey.
I wasn't looking at you.
Hey, someone took it personal.
I was waiting for you to say that.
But it will. If you learn how to drive, it makes such a difference. And of course, nothing better than either saying you're on old tires or you're a stock car, and you're beating the person. That's I think that gains a tremendous amount of respect.
Thank you.
So share with us, there's a little project you're doing with MAV TV.
Yeah. So they made a little docu-series about me last year, kind of wild to watch myself on TV. But yeah, they just filmed my season last year and covered a little bit about my just journey through racing and how I haven't had the easiest path because I wasn't born into it or I don't have a huge family funding backing me. So yeah, just the trials and errors of trying to go professional racing and how hard it is to get sponsors and the right opportunities.
So
and when it happens,
were they
it works
following
out.
you around at various tracks, at home,
Yeah.
going out to dinner? You just had this camera behind you the whole time?
Yeah. They came to my house in Vegas. They filmed me selling real estate and came to a few different tracks, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
Do your clients in the real estate realize what you do? That would be the bizarrest thing, wouldn't it? That
It's funny because like sometimes I don't want to talk. I'm like I don't want to get a lot of attention like that, so sometimes I don't bring it up. But my team has really been like, you really should because it makes you stand out more. And so I just started like sharing it more. And yeah, people are like, wait, what? You drive race cars? Like, you don't look like a race car. I'm like, what does that mean?
What's that mean? Explain
What
that.
driver look like?
Yeah, but no, they all love the ones that I've told. They think it's super cool and they follow me and
Do they
and
figure it
support
out when
me,
they
so.
get to the garage of the house and you're like, man, this is really cool. You could put this here. You could put this here.
Yeah, I know,
You
it
spend
is-
most of your time in the garage.
Yeah, it probably does like start to make sense because I'm like in the garage, like like look at this little workspace over here, and yeah, so yeah, it's fun.
Well, thank you so much. We've got a couple of housekeeping items.
well, before we
here.
go to that,
yeah.
how can people follow you?
Ah.
What's your Instagram or Facebook, or what's the best way to follow you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and also Twitter and TikTok. So
There you
you
go.
can follow me any of those places. I post a lot more often on my Instagram with my stories and stuff. And I have a little subscription side to that too. If you want more behind the scenes stuff of what I do at home and how I train and find sponsors, all the fun stuff.
What's the
there.
next event
Then
you'll be doing?
my next race is at Barber Motorsports Park. We're going to be alongside IndyCar there.
Oh, wow.
Although I might try to fly down to the 12 Hours of Sebring and just hang out. So if you're there, let me know.
A friend of mine used to do that back probably like 25 to 30 years ago, and he told me that, he said, which I understand now, he said, yeah, the old guys who paid for their ride can't drive at night. They get scared. He goes, so I just walk around with my helmet, and he would become friends with them, and they would say, hey, you want to take my stint? And he would jump in and get several rides. He said every race and just walking around with his helmet, and he had a suit on,
Yeah.
and people would just offer it to him because they drove one time in practice and it scared the heck out of him at night. So might be something to
Yeah.
Maybe I'll start
look
trying
into.
that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, a lot of the rides I got, I just was going to the track talking to people, and I'd have my suit and my helmet with me. And
Sure, yeah,
you
it's
never know.
opportunity.
You just never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, exactly. And the more your name gets out there, then well, now that you won the championship, people definitely know who you are, and you got the cred behind it, so they know you're not going to ball up the car. You're going to give them the results they want.
You also brought some T-shirts that we can give away. So for those of you that are watching us on YouTube, the first 3 people to comment on this episode will win a shirt.
Positively comment. Not that we ever have negative comments.
We always have positive comments. All right, so a couple of housekeeping items. Maybe we talk about our newsletters. If you haven't signed up for the PCA-produced email newsletters, check out eBrake News, Mark Fresh News, and Performance News. Head over to pca.org. We've got a couple of events coming up. We've got the Porsche Only Swap Meet, which is always fun to be at. That's April 27th in Carlisle.
Yes, you can see my wife sell all my stuff.
You can get some
Little by
great
little.
deals. Just walk up to Roxanne and ask for the PCA Insider discount.
Yes.
Guaranteed to get you a good deal. We also have Porsche Parade Phase 1 is open, so looking forward. We will be in Birmingham, not too far from Barber. As well as we talked about PCA Sim Racing. You've done that to prepare, and so can our PCA members not only prepare to drive on track, but they can race other PCA members all over the world. Let's see, what else? Oh, we had a fun time with this one at Works Reunion. We had Princess. They were there in full force, gave away a couple of Princess cruises. We're talking about Treffin at Sea in Alaska. We've gone over the 800 mark of having folks come on board. I don't know if I shared.
What do you
with
see
all-
when you see it, Ashley? See, what I see is like an iceberg waiting to happen. It's like they've never watched Titanic. A ship,
Yeah,
icebergs. What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? It's beautiful. A bucket list destination, July 28th through August 4th. So hopefully we'll see you there. And let's see, what else do we have? We're at the top of the hour already, Manny.
Yeah.
Just like that. So let's see, we also have some merchandise. Do we want to throw up the merchandise, the PCA Insider T-shirts, mugs, and water bottles, as well as if you're looking for a PCA Insider decal, just drop us an email at podcasts@pca.org. All right, folks. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you all the best. Your story is inspiring. I want to go out and race now.
Yeah,
let's
same.
go. Let's go to the
Let's get
go-kart
my car
track.
on the road.
Let's not do a PCA
I would
event.
love to see Ashley go against you in a go-kart.
That would be amazing. It would not be a PCA event because we
Even
don't
give
do
you a
those
head
in
start.
PCA. But after hours, we could go over
Yeah,
to
we
the
could.
local karting
boy.
facility here. And I don't know. I mean, I kind of want to, but then I'm like, man, it's gonna not end up.
I
end
would
up well
love
for
to,
us.
but I can't today, unfortunately. It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
Tea break day.
That's a great excuse. So,
Yeah, I
folks,
know.
thank you for listening. If you aren't currently a PCA member and own a Porsche, grab your VIN and head over to pca.org. If you're looking for a Porsche or want one in your garage or driveway, we have the test drive program. Again, pca.org. Remember to follow our podcast Instagram page, behind the scenes photos and videos, Porsche Club Insider, all one word. You can always email us at podcast@pca.org if you have questions. We love reading your comments. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I think we're now 87,000
Yeah, right around
subscribers.
there.
So
Yep.
we're getting there. If you want to stay in touch with all things PCA, again, remember to sign up for the free PCA newsletters. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll catch you down the road.